welcome to part 2 of 3 of the episode 25, the genesis of TPT. In the last episode, I left you off with a cliffhanger. So here I am, Mr. Horton, Bowtie Guy. I was creating, and at the time, if you want to know, well, Bowtie Guy, where in the world did I come from? Well, that fits in fidelity, in harmony, in tranquility with the fact that I wore bow ties every single day. I kind of had this sick obsession with bow ties. I just loved the way they looked, and I loved the creative intricacies of each bow tie. I would have alligators, I would have flying pigs, I'd have American flags. Look, I love wearing bow ties. You know why? Just because, hey, it made me feel like a professional. And so, being that professional, I had to realize I had to take off my bow tie at 3:30 so I could put on my Lowe's garb and hit up a different kind of Horton hustle, if you know what I'm saying. I had to make sure I could put food in the mouths of my family, my growing family. At the time, I had just had a baby girl, and my wife, she was still hitting up her own version of the Horton hustle, and so she was learning how to be a mother, and I was learning how to be a father in abstention. And what I'm saying is, I had to do it from far away because it seemed there was a season in my life where uncomfortably, disgustingly, and in the most worst way, I had to work. And so I was just out. I was just unavailable because, like I said, bills had to be paid, power had to be on, water had to be on. So teachers pay teachers. So I was creating sorts, and then it came to a spot where, I started thinking to myself, at the time in public education, there was this big initiative on that buzzword, which is taboo. But everyone has their own perception, their perceiving points about the word differentiation. Lord, that sent shockwaves through the world of education. It's too bad that differentiation can be as easy as pie. You know what I'm saying? We've already had several episodes reflecting upon a certain avenue, a certain aspect of differentiation, but differentiation was causing people to go into hysterics, panic attacks, because even administrators could not articulate what exactly they were looking for. Differentiation, so we need different things, right? Different things for different people. No. Our approach, look, the best teachers for hundreds of years in the United States, thousands of years in the entire history of the world, look, they utilize differentiation. They realize that all students are not the same. And with that, they have different needs. So, piggybacking on the quote that I gave you in part 1 of this episode from Thomas Edison, necessity is the mother of all invention. And what I mean by that, look, I was in a pickle at the time. So I was living a double life, and not a bad double life. I was having to work at Lowe's and work as a teacher. So needless to say, I was a little bit mentally, physically, spiritually overoccupied, if you want my honest opinion. But in the classroom, which was my laboratory, if you will, where I was making daily Mona Lisas, I was practicing my craft. I recognized that all of the students in my classroom, in my self-contained third grade classroom, they did not read at the same reading level. And so I had students that were exceptionally accelerated, and I had students that, they struggled. And so what was I going to do to try to enhance my instructional strategies, to enhance my instructional approach, and to enhance my instructional achievement? Well, I could provide differentiated resources. And what exactly does that mean? Well, I kind of fell in love with different metrics such as Fleisch-Kincaid. And you know what? Even for a time, I was looking at Lexile. I was fascinated with Lexile and its correlation to guided reading, correlation to ATOS with accelerated reader. There was a lot of potential in typing or profiling a book, leveling a book, and seeing what readiness level, what readability level a particular text could offer a child. So it gave me more or less a prescription of what a kid needed to be reading instructionally, and some things that, perhaps maybe they're too easy. So it gave me a little bit of a roadmap and insight into the reading that I could be more in charge of. I had more autonomy over the reading in my classroom, and I guess because of the authorship of differentiated passages. Needless to say, I loved chunking. I loved utilizing whatever strategies I could find to create, read about, to maximize instructional time. That means, pinching for every extra minute I can in order to enhance the achievement, like just not wasting any time. No fluff, baby. And how can I do that? I love to integrate. And you're thinking to myself, integrate? Well, we've gone back to social studies, history, 1960s civil rights? Sure, go with that. If that gives you a great frame of reference, just do you, boo. But here's the thing, with integration, look, what if you're teaching social studies during reading? What if you're utilizing principles of science in a nonfiction text that you're employing during your grammar segment? You see what I'm saying? You can ooby-dooby, you can be double-minded in education. You can really be effectual with your time. Enhance that time you've been given. Look, the fact of the matter is we're all entrusted with 24 hours a day. But we all make choices with the opportunities that we're given with the 24 hours that we have. My 24 hours is your 24 hours. I want you to think about that. That's a big nugget for you to chew on today. So the nerd in me, I fell in love with something called text complexity. And if you don't know anything about text complexity, it's a very interesting approach to the readability of a text. Did you realize that the placement of a comma, the sentence length in terms of the words used within a sentence, the way that sentences are constructed, whether or not it's a simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence, compound complex sentence, all affects the readability of a text. Now these are some of those idiosyncrasies that we don't necessarily consider as a rookie teacher. Look, we're learning so much so rapidly that this is something that you develop in your practice, in your pedagogy, in your instructional development. You realize that texts are complex. Look, they're not all made the same. And there's a beautiful element in the authorship when you have an opportunity to actually author a text that your students will be utilizing, chunking, enhancing, growing with that maximization, if that's even a word, of that instructional time that you're trying to employ in your class. Text complexity is something that really gave me hope. In a roundabout way, text complexity really gave me a sense of hope in a period of hopelessness and doubt, where I wasn't exactly sure how bills were going to get paid because of the financial catastrophe, financial calamity, financial peril that the county in which I was employed was suffering through. You know what? I had an opportunity to create something. That's what has always given me life. It speaks life to me that I can create something. And it speaks life to me that I can create something for students in my classroom that can be effectual and enhancing student achievement. But what about the life that it gives me when you can create something, not only for the kids in your classroom to enhance achievement, you could create something for teachers all around the world. Now think about your affect then. Think about what you're responsible for in cultivating another generation of greatness, generation of thinkers. You've got to understand that we have a lot of power in our hands, and I'm talking we have a lot of opportunity that we could capitalize. We could revolutionize education. Teachers Pay Teachers became this wonderful avenue, this wonderful medium to give a voice to the voiceless, a sense of hope to the hopeless. You got to understand that some of my favorite sellers, I don't know where I'd be without their motivation. There's an amazement in engagement. Think about the touring conferences, such as Get Your Teach On. I can tell you that one person that I met that really lit the fire in me, and you know what? In terms of vertical alignment, we don't really have much in common. You may know him as Schmorgy, Kindergarten Smorgasbord. He's a kindergarten teacher in Tennessee, and can I tell you something? That dude exudes positivity. That dude exudes just a sense of enthusiasm that is it's just contagious. But that's what Teachers Pay Teachers has done for people like me. It really just gave me a network of like-minded individuals that really wanted to make not just a cliche positive impact, a positive influence, a positive something in education. They wanted to leave something big in education, but no, it was just like, it was a group think tank of just people that, honest to God, were just trying to make each other better. Like, I don't really think that Teachers Pay Teachers, from our perspective, Bowtie Guy and wife, I don't think it was very competitive, in the sense that we really weren't too focused on people around us. We were just focused on creating high quality products. And we were really focused on our customers, because, when it comes to customer service, the customer is always right. And the customer, 9 times out of 10, is not going to tell you a lie. They're going to be honest with their criticism, with their critique of your hard work.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.